Hey, what's up, everybody? BDF44 coming at you with another video. All right, the Los Angeles Lakers played the Memphis Grizzlies tonight, and I made a video at halftime displaying my frustration with us going small in the second quarter and basically allowing them to kind of get easy layups and just basically take advantage of the size disadvantage quite a bit. And you know, the third quarter was more of the same. It was a plummeting. Beginning of the fourth quarter, more of the same, continued plummeting. But then we started finally putting Dwight Howard and DJ on the floor. And in doing so, we started to see, offensive rebounds take place. And you would see why, having a center could be helpful out there. You know what I mean? You could totally see it immediately. And, but the game was already out of hand. And then Austin Reaves happened. And Austin Reaves strung together 16 points in the fourth quarter, pretty much in a matter of like maybe 4 minutes. It seemed like the dude was just unbelievable. People call him Hillbilly Kobe. And a lot of people, think that name is disrespectful. That's why I try to not use it very much. But you really saw the killer instinct of a Kobe Bryant in that kid tonight. He was very, very, very intent on willing his team back into this game. And it felt like at one point, I'm going to tell you the truth. At one point, it seemed like it was a battle of forces to me. And this is just my view on the game as I'm watching it. It was Austin Reaves versus Frank Vogel and his poor decision making. It was like those two forces were working against one another. On one hand, you got Frank Vogel, who's absolutely and utterly intent on losing this game. Because even in the situation where we were coming back, we had cut the game to 6 points. We were down by as much as probably 25 points. With Austin Reaves and Wayne Ellington's heroics in the fourth quarter, we were able to cut that game to about 6 or 7 points. And this man refused to put the starters back in the game. No Bron, no Westbrook, no THT, no Monk. None of those guys were put back in the game. And I said to myself, what is it that we are trying to do here? That's what I have to ask. I at one point I put my head down and I said, am I losing my mind? Because I know this is a regular season game against a contending team that has beat us twice in the last 2 months. We're on our home floor, we're on a winning streak, and our momentum has been just shot by the fact that we schematically played poorly or game plan poorly in this game, and still have an opportunity with a minute and 20 seconds to go to actually get this thing to overtime, and we did nothing of the sort that would put us in a position to win the game. Nothing that would put us in a position to even compete, other than leaving, our guys out there who got us that lead out there to continue to do what it is that they could possibly do. And my thing was, yeah, they got you the lead, but they're not the lineup that's supposed to take you home. Bron's supposed to take you home. And I understand removing him from the game because it had gotten out of hand. You're sitting in for the night, game over. But once the game gets close again, shouldn't the strategy revamp back to then trying to win the game? For example, if LeBron James had been playing, if the game had been close, rather, he would have been playing normally, right? If it was a 6-point spread with a minute and 6 seconds to go, he would be playing, and we were down by 6. He would be in the game, right? That's my thing. It's like, what are we doing? Like, what is it that we are actually trying to accomplish? Are we trying to win a game, or are we just trying things and we're punting the victory entirely? Because to me, it felt like the Lakers weren't trying to win tonight. The game plan from jump was bad on paper. We had tried the same game plan against the same team 2 weeks ago and saw how it worked. It did not work. And we ran the same game plan again tonight. It failed miserably, as it normally does, but then we had a chance to win the game and didn't do anything to send ourselves in a position to win it. You have a 6-point deficit, and LeBron James has 35 points, and you don't put him back in the game. I just don't know what we're trying to do. If this, if the scenario is different, that's what I'm saying. Like, if the scenario is different, let's say the game had been close all game long, and it's a 6-point spread with that exact same amount of time left, you're going to see THT on the floor, you're going to see LeBron James on the floor, you're going to see Malik Monk on the floor, you're going to see the guys that you trust to win. This guy left DJ on the floor, Wayne Ellington, I think it was Bazemore. Like, that's who he had on the floor in that scenario. And it's because they committed to sitting our starters. But it's like, you commit based on the circumstance, not just to commit. You're essentially just punting the game entirely. And I don't believe in that at all. Especially when you have a player down there who's literally willing himself back on some Kobe stuff, on some T-Mac stuff. Like, if y'all remember that T-Mac game against the Spurs way back in the day when T-Mac won together like 15 points in like a minute, that was kind of what your boy Austin Reaves was kind of trying to do out there. He was literally trying to win the game for himself. And it was just like, nope. Nobody had his back. That's how I felt. Him and Wayne Ellington was against Frank Vogel's mistakes. And so I really, really felt that way. It got to a point where I'm like, yo, it's like Austin Reaves versus the world out here. Because ain't nobody got his back but Wayne Ellington. That's truly how I felt. That's how I felt watching the game, man. I don't know, man. But he was trying to will us back. He was heroic. He was amazing out there. Slide that aside. Okay, let's get back to what the game actually was about. Earlier in the game, you saw LeBron James get into it with Desmond Bane quite a bit. And from there, even though his shot was falling, a lot of what he was doing was like unforced turnovers, errant passes, ball fumbling off his knee. He was not where he needed to be tonight mentally, excuse me. He wasn't where he needed to be. He was edgy. He was antsy. He was complaining a lot. He was bumping people, getting into it with Desmond and letting that basically knock him off his game. And like I said, the shot was falling. So you would think that wasn't the problem. But if you go back and look at key moments when the game really was starting to get out of hand, it was turnovers by LeBron James. Westbrook type turnovers by the King. And that's exactly what I saw out there. Aside from Avery Bradley going 1 for 8, basically shooting us out of the game in the second quarter. That was a big part of the problem. And then, of course, the main issue, the overall issue, which was the fact that they just kept getting rebounds after rebound after rebound, second points after second chance points, layup after layup after layup, because we didn't have a center on the floor. So you have all these things working in tandem, and then you have Carmelo Anthony, who was struggling a little bit as well, even though his shot was falling. He was having some issues defensively because they were asking him to guard bigger players and bang and stuff like that. Had him at the center position, I think, for a bit. It was just a lot of bad strategy, bad rotation, bad lineups, putting the wrong people on the floor and asking them to do things they had no business doing all the way up to the end of the game. I mean, he was messing up. It was almost like you got to try to mess up as bad as Frank Vogel was messing up with them lineups tonight, man. Like, you have to really be working hard. It got to a point where it's like we were running small ball lineups without LeBron on the floor. And I'm saying to myself, we only have LeBron James and Russell Westbrook. The rest of our team is role players. How in the hell do you think you're going to have any success when Jaren Jackson is able to shoot right over a guy like Stanley Johnson? I mean, he literally just goes down to the paint and shoots a jump hook over the man repeatedly. And then you see the same thing happen with John Morant, another floater over floater. Then you see Desmond Bane get in layup. And then from there, they start getting rhythm threes. Now you got Zaire Williams going nuts, the lottery pick that played with Bronny James. This dude shooting threes like he's Reggie Miller out there in the corner. I mean, it just got to a point where it's like, yo, coach, honestly, I want to be very responsible with my voice, so I don't want my frustration to allege some things that don't make no sense. But honestly, man, I did not think we were trying to win the basketball game tonight. I really didn't. And it's rare when I feel that way. But I honestly think the Lakers have every intention of losing this game. I really believe that. Now, why? I don't know. Why? I cannot tell you. You know what I mean? You can get into conspiracies. You can get into different strategies. Maybe they're trying to see certain things on film. You know, Coach alluded to wanting to see the players rebound the ball. in small ball lineups. Leave them out there to struggle. Sometimes they learn. I saw Phil Jackson do that type of stuff. Maybe that was what the Lakers had in mind. It's a long season. This was an important game. We gave it up. Maybe they're trying some weird psychology stuff with the team, try to do something. Like I said, basketball is weird sometimes. It is what it is. But I'm telling you, there were about 3 or 4 different ways the Lakers did what they could to lose the game. It was about 4 different things that they had to do exactly the way they did in order to lose. And it was almost like Austin Reaves was ruining it. It was almost like, yo, Austin, you're ruining our point spread here, buddy. We're trying to get it to look a certain way. You're doing the wrong thing, man. Don't you see we have DJ and Bazemore out here? We're trying to lose, buddy. Please stop scoring so much. That's what it felt like. I'm just being honest. That's exactly the spirit of the game I was watching out there. And I'm going to tell you, as a Laker fan, I'm just confused, man. I'm just confused. My mind goes back to Sacramento. I'm talking 2001, when everybody alleged that we were the recipients of games thrown our way. You know what I mean? The corruption of different things. And I just honestly can't walk away from this game feeling like we did our best to win it. I just can't, man. There's been many games in my life where I said, yo, the team didn't play well, or, we just didn't have it tonight. Maybe somebody couldn't shoot. There wasn't none of that going on, man. The Lakers are just doing the wrong stuff, man. Just literally putting stuff on the floor that you know damn well ain't gonna work. It's just like that, man. It's like the equivalent, in my opinion, of like trying to run Shaq at your point. You know what I mean? And then taking Isaiah Thomas, putting him at the 5. You know what I mean? And just seeing what happens. You're not gonna win. You know what I mean? And that's exactly what I felt the Lakers were doing from a schematic standpoint. Just absolutely everything they could to make the Memphis Grizzlies the victor tonight. And that's what I got for you. I mean, it's like the Memphis Grizzlies didn't even really play that well. If you want to be honest, everything they got came from the mistakes that we gave them. The mistakes that we made. Turning the ball over, got them in transition. Not guarding the perimeter, gave them open 3-point shots. Not playing the center, gave them easy layups and teardrops. I mean, these things just came from stuff we were doing. And to be honest, in the first quarter, the Lakers were playing well enough to keep up with the team. THT got off to a hot start. As I said, Bron looked as good as he always did from a scoring perspective. But it seemed like as soon as he got into it with Desmond Bane, they got fired up as a team. They started taking advantage of the size disadvantage just by default, just because it's there for them. And from there, we just started getting demoralized after they repeatedly started getting those easy buckets and easy putbacks and offensive rebounds. And you give up 11 offensive rebounds? Yeah, man. But, all in all, the stats really didn't tell the story if you look at the box score, because of the type of quarter that Austin Reaves had and, the type of shooting that they displayed that they put on in the fourth quarter just threw the stats all the way off. So you look at them from as they are, and we shot the ball very well. You know what I mean? We shot over 40% from 3. We shot over 45% from the field. Like, a lot of that came in garbage time. A lot of that came when Memphis took their foot off the pedal. So this is not one of those games where I can honestly say, okay, the stats tell us what happened. It really didn't. Only through 3 quarters, honestly. And really, not even that, just the second and third quarter, to be completely honest. So they did all their damage in that period of time, and it was a whole lot of what I just expressed, And I just want to take my hat off to the Memphis Grizzlies, because they are one of the best teams in the NBA, and they played some phenomenal defense, particularly in the paint. They did a great job of positioning their players and using those big young bodies to cut off driving lanes, plays where we usually get layups, plays where we usually get in the paint and get to the line. We weren't able to convert. Their defense was putting us in positions to where we had to readjust and continue to adjust 3 and 4 and 5 times. And to be honest with you, the Lakers have been playing against such bad teams lately to where those things hadn't been the case. Atlanta wasn't forcing no turnovers. Sacramento wasn't really forcing turnovers to that degree, etc. We were able to play against these teams and basically kind of run our stuff to a certain basic level. You play against the Memphis Grizzlies, it's like taking the difficulty and going from easy mode to hard mode overnight. Like now you're like, oh, okay, it's a little different. Now the defense is turned up, and that's exactly what it was. You know, plays where Brody was getting flying through the line and all that, no, it wasn't happening. They was cutting that off, you know, and Bron was having to readjust a lot in the paint, pump fakes and stuff like that. Guys plowing onto him and stuff. He took some damage tonight. You know, he took some punishments, which is why I understand why they didn't want him to come back into the game. I just protest against that because I think the purpose of the game is to win. We're not out there running around taking that punishment just to roll over and lose when we're in striking distance. And maybe it's because I grew up on Shaq and Kobe where no game is over. You know, we won games where we'd be down by 9 with like a minute to go because we wouldn't take our foot off the gas. And that's just what I believe in. I don't understand no game that ain't played that way. You know, I grew up watching guys like Reggie Miller. They ain't quit on no games. You know what I mean? Michael Jordan ain't quit on no games. You're down by 11 with like 2 minutes to go. That means you have to run a 2-minute drill that requires you to get 11 points. That don't mean you take your foot off the gas. So I don't know what the hell this type of basketball is. I don't know. You know what I mean? I'm not with nothing that I saw tonight, honestly. The only thing I can say is, you know, to be cut and dry, Austin Reaves represented how I feel. You know what I mean? That's how I want basketball to be played down the stretch of a basketball game. I don't give a damn what the score is. Give me your heart. Show me you're trying to win the basketball game for the fans that paid their money to see the game. Don't give me no bullcrap about this is game number 45 in the season or what have you, and we're resting and there's a million games. I don't want to hear that. When this team demoralized us twice in the last month, I don't want to hear that. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, this is the type of game where I want to fire people because I saw a lack of care. You know, and it wasn't from the players particularly. It was from that coaching staff that refused to make any adjustment whatsoever. This was an embarrassment. This was a waste of a good effort. You know what I mean? Because I saw good effort from guys like THT, LeBron James, Wayne Ellington in the fourth. Obviously, you know, Dwight Howard with the short minutes he received. Bazemore did some good things in the fourth quarter as well, forcing some turnovers. You saw guys do their part, but they weren't given the tools to complete the job. And that's what I saw out there. And look, I don't know what Desmond Bain said to LeBron James, but my point of view is Desmond Baines is a second-year player. Homie ain't no older than 22 years old. You have got to keep your cool, LeBron. You and I are the same age. It ain't nothing that dude should have been able to say to you to get you off your game to that degree. No. And I know you're trying to fire yourself up. I know you're mad because you see as well as everybody else does that the scheme that you're running is going to lead you to no success. You know what I mean? But my thing is, you can scream at people and say you're a problem. Ain't nobody saying you're not a problem. It's your team that ain't a problem, fam. And it's not. Tonight, it wasn't because we didn't have the right players. It wasn't because we weren't playing well enough or anything like that. It's because the people at the top didn't want to do what it took to put us in a position to win. And you, LeBron, are at the top, bro. So you let me know why we didn't have a center out there, and I let you know why you were so frustrated at Desmond Bain. Because those two things went hand in hand tonight. And if you can't see that, then you're going to have a hard time getting your next championship. That's what I have to say to that. I like what I saw from THT. I want to bring him back up because he played really, really hot. In the first quarter, played great. Got 2 fouls, and Coach Vogel treated it like it was 4 fouls. That's basically what I saw. He treated 2 fouls like it was 4 fouls. He removed the kid from the game as if he had 4 fouls and didn't bring him back in until everything was out of control. He was hot in the first half, and, you know, he was doing good things. He was hitting his threes. He was hitting teardrops. He was one of the reasons why we were able to keep up with that team scoring the ball. He picked up his second foul in the second quarter. It wasn't the end of the world. I swear to God it wasn't. But Frank Vogel was doing everything he could to lose tonight, and that was one of many things that he did that put us in a position to get that loss. So, yeah, I'm hard on Frank tonight. I am. because I felt like he was the problem. The team got demoralized at a certain point, somewhere around let's say somewhere around the 7-minute mark of the second quarter. We started seeing them get and one after and one, layup after layup. At some point in time, the body language started to slouch. Turnovers started to pile up. Guys started to slide off of defense a little bit, and the game went downhill from there. You got a lot of vets, that's going to happen. Their emotions and their fatigue is going to set in because their bodies ain't going to be able to keep up with this task at hand. If this was 10 years ago, they not slumping their shoulders because they got the energy to fight back. Right now, they too tired to fight back. Yes, and Carmelo Anthony got a illegal defense just out of sheer fatigue. Like he had to try to make up for the fact of lack of size that he had to be in two places at once and found himself in no man's land. This is what happens when you don't have a center on the floor. Whether you know it or not, at that very moment, the momentum began to change. As soon as he got that illegal defense and they had to shoot that free throw because of that situation, that was when they started to get layup after layup after layup after layup. Little things like that turn the momentum of a veteran team from having good momentum to being a bunch of old, angry men. And that's what I saw. Led by LeBron James, a bunch of grumpy old men who weren't schematically put in position to win the game. And because of it, they got their hats brought to them by a better basketball team that was prepared for them. That's what I saw, man. So you can be mad at everybody. You can be mad at Desmond Bain. But at the end of the day, he whooped your butt again. And it wasn't because he's better than us. It was because we refused to put a center out there to do anything against his team. That's that, man. So Memphis Grizzlies win their ninth straight NBA game. And the Lakers' 4-game winning streak ends right there. And we start a new losing streak. And from here, we get to go on the road. I believe we play, what is it, Sacramento Kings next or somebody like that? Something like that. So, yeah, you guys. This was one of those games where I was thoroughly upset, thoroughly let down by the team. Just overall upset about this one. You know, it's a different type of upset. When I don't see guys play well, THT playing poorly, Westbrook turned the ball over 6 times, it's a different tone. It's a different tone. But when I see guys not be put in a position to be successful, I get offended by that. That's a different energy entirely. My name is BDF44. Game ball goes to Austin Reaves. I'm out.